improperly constructed. So the species, of the approved species list lived outside the rule. There is honest debate about whether or not that's enforceable as is. We have been using that list as policy and practice, as our list of approved species. However, additional species have been approved outside that list along the way, by prior coordinators, et cetera.
And the federal rule is just the 3.
Correct. Yep. And that's our probably a
Which is
fallback legal backstop.
The fallback, yeah.
Correct.
I think I'll say this. I think this is an excellent example of why you go to the RAC meeting. I think the RAC process served the public well here if this is going to go the way I think it's going to go. And this is a great example of our division of wildlife being the best in the country and being the most user-friendly when their proposal has evolved with the public comment they got through the process, and then now we're here, and instead of having a big bloody fight the last meeting, we have something put together that it looks like everybody can work with and deal with. So I think that speaks volumes to the public and to the division. So and to the RAC meetings and the RAC process especially. Any other questions or anything from the board?
I just want to make a couple of comments, John, that I think this work in progress has really, come to a final conclusion, that we're protecting raptors and we're taking away the restrictions to give these people that participate in the sport the opportunity to continue to do that and expand their, horizons a little bit. But I think it's the best world for everybody that's commented here today, those for and those against, that especially what the division has done with these last 2 bullet points, 4 and 5. 1 through 3 are already included in the process that the RACs have approved. So I just want to, thank all the Falconers and stuff for showing up, and Wasatch Audubon, the comments that we've received and stuff. So it's I think it's the best document we can come up with and work with.
I'd be open to a motion at this point.
Make that motion, John, that we accept the division's recommendation and that we incorporate these 5 PowerPoints, or 5 points that they brought up onto the public comment.
So to be clear, if you accept the division's proposal, you don't need this.
Right.
The
Well,
division's
but exception,
proposal, with the exception of the list, then you would need these.
Yes. Yep,
So
just like the RAC.
we're accepting the division's proposal with the exception of there will be no list,
Right.
and we're incorporating these 5 points. Is that correct?
Yes.
That makes sense?
So,
Help us flesh it out then, Mike. So
well, what is the division's proposal? That we do what they have said and that we keep a list that the division has, right?
The division's initial proposal was Russ's first presentation, including the all-encompassing list at each class level. The slide that's before you right now is an alternative for you to include in a motion, if you so choose.
But do we need that if we accept the division's proposal as it
No.
is?
but that's
I thought that this was if we rejected the list that they have and wanted to go back to the federal
make the
list.
proposal.
So the division's proposal was the initial
Okay.
54 bird list.
Right.
The slide that's before you is an alternative that you can adopt in a motion if you so choose,
And,
or pieces of it.
well, yeah, it said, the second sentence says if the board determines the list is not the appropriate course of action, we want this. So what list are we talking about there? The list that the division has proposed.
So within the current red line rule, there are authorized species at each class level.
Right.
The RAC votes, as we went through the RAC process, requested that we eliminate
Do away with
all of those and fall back to
that.
the orders that are included in the federal rule. As a compromise proposal, This is one idea that you could adopt instead of the proposed species list that the division initially requested and the orders that are laid out within the federal rule.
So for clarification, the motion that Byron just presented was that we would accept the division's proposal minus the 54 species list and add the 5 points that the division asked to add if we rejected the 54 species list. That's the proposal, is that correct, Byron?
That's accurate.
So if we rejected that list, then we could accept this as a way to mitigate the rejection of the list.
That's accurate. And I would just want to
And that's the motion.
clarify that point number 2, our proposed red line actually includes 15 species. So
Not
we
14, but
want
15.
15, not 14.
That's bullet point number 2, not
Yes.
14, that is 15.
That is
So
15.
if we accept the motion, Byron's motion, that 14 would actually be 15.
That's correct.
So what happens then if somebody wants to bring in some exotic bird?
And that would depend on what class they are. As an apprentice class falconer, if you adopted this slide, they would be restricted to the 15 birds that would be included in the rule.
Okay.
At the general and master class level, they would not have that same restriction.
Plus, Captain Pratt, you said also on the apprentice
Yeah.
level.
Yep.
So,
Bring in a native.
s-
So long at the apprentice level, they could only bring in the 15 species that are listed there.
so is the federal list then a non,
It's at the general
Non-
at the general and master class level, it would be the federal backstop that we've then incorporated into our list.
but you don't,
And to clarify that, if you look at, let me see, would be point 3. At the general class level, that eagle endorsement concept for the 5 or 6 really large animal species. In order to possess the species that are listed within that at the general class level, you'd have to have a couple letters of recommendation and show some experience handling other large raptors before you would be allowed to possess like an eagle owl or harpy eagle. There are 5 or 6 species that are listed at the general class level that we think require some additional expertise before you can just bring those into the state.
so as far as that big federal list from those 3 orders,
Mm-hmm.
that is not the rule, right? If somebody chose something off of that list and wanted to bring it into Utah, have it in Utah, it would have to get approval, right? It's not, you
Dep-
can just have it because it's on that federal list.
Depending on your class level, that's correct.
Well, if you're the master class, the king of all kings, whatever it is,
Yep. And
can
so,
you get any bird you want to, anytime you want to, without any restriction?
and at the master class level, the federal rule and our rule adopts these same restrictions. Master class cannot possess a bald eagle. For a golden eagle, there are certain golden eagle, stellar sea eagle, and white-tailed eagle. There are a set of expectations and restrictions that you have to comply with in order to possess those species. But beyond that, you would be within the 3 orders.
But
So
then can you have any from those 3
Yep.
orders?
Yep. Which gets, somewhat concerning, I guess, when we start talking about doing away with the list or incorporating another list, is that there's a lot that goes into the list. And with these 5 points here, we think we've probably accomplished what we want to accomplish. And can remove the 54 species concept that has been so contentious through the RAC process.
Okay, so if we remove the 54 list, the division is okay with that as long as these are in place.
So long as we substitute in these concepts. I think it's something that we can live with. I can't speak for my client, but
Well, what's the division's position? That's what I want to know.
This is something that we think we can respect the RAC process and live with. It's obviously not what we'd recommended to the board and to the director. It will add complexity and some challenges to the administration of the program, given this is a quite small program overall. However, with these stipulations or provisions, it's something that we can live with, yes.
But you're not doing backflips over it.
We have a motion. Do I have a second on the motion?
Can we
Now you can discuss it still if you need to.
want to know what the motion is again?
John, can I ask something? Isn't there a process to be able to have any of these birds as a falconer? Don't they have to get approval for any of them, right? That doesn't change. Okay.
You have these birds that specialize on skunks and raccoons.
think
That
we
solved the
need
other
to-
problem we talked about a
No,
lot.
stipulate that every falconer has to take, 100 of the exotic Eurasian dove that we have per
That's
year or
right.
something like that.
Hunters can do that.
Okay. Stacy, can you read back the motion? It's real. You have it written down, right? Read it back to me, please.
Byron's motion was, I approve recommending the division's proposal with the exception of minusing the 54 species list and adding the additional 5 points as stated in the presentation, which I will later go and pull. And then I have a second by Steve Miller.
That's it. That's it. Okay? Any further, I hate to ask this, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion? All opposed?
Well, I think partly because I'm still confused on a few issues, and I just don't see the ultimate need to do away with what the division has proposed. I mean, I'm fine with it. That's no problem if they think they can handle what they need, but where are you going to get your money to take care of all this stuff when it shows up, and what personnel are you going to pull away from what projects to do? Those kind of things still.
All right. The motion passes 4-1. So I can appreciate where Mike's coming from, because this is one I was glad I didn't have to vote on, because I had some concerns, but I also have faith in the process and in the division. I don't think they'd come back with this if it was something they couldn't have got a hold of and made work. So now that is the last of our action items. It's not quite lunchtime yet, so the board does have a little bit of board business that we're going to take care of here for a few minutes. I would like to thank all of the public for coming and speaking to your items today, and anybody that's out there watching that thinks RAC meetings don't get things accomplished and you can't make a difference, I think the Falconers just proved you wrong. So I appreciate you guys coming and being involved. I guess as a board, we have a couple of us that are done, me and the good doctor, and so you will need a new chairman for the next go-round. we have some ballots here. Ballot initiative going around. Is everybody registered? Now,
Is there a way to extend their term?
you notice she spoke right up about that. Also, I guess it'd probably be appropriate if
Yeah, so,
we would probably want to nominate somebody for the.
I don't know. It's formal nominations, I think. I think the way this will happen is there'll be two votes here. First will be for the board chair. Once that's done and we know what it is, then there'll be voting for the vice chair. So, probably the simplest way to do this is for those who would express interest in being the future chairman of this board, to make that known. I talked to Calvin Crandall here in the last 15 minutes or so on the phone. He does have some interest as potentially a vice chair, but not as the chair. So at this point, we could move forward on discussion of the chair.
Stacy, couple questions. Chairman is a 2-year ordeal, right? You're only chairman for 2 years. So if you were,
5 more years.
regardless of whether you're coming off the board, if you have 4 years left and you get voted on as chairman, you're chairman for 2 years, and then you're done as chairman, and you're just unless they vote you in again. Okay. I'm gonna throw a name out there. I think my compadre next to me here, Dr. Woodward, would be an excellent chairman. I think he's filled in a few times when I've been late or had things to deal with, and that I think he's got a good grasp as to what goes on, and he brings a level of professionalism that I would say has been lacking in the chairman position for the last couple of years. So I would think if he'd be interested in that, I think he'd do a great job. I think all of you'd do a great job, but I think her would be exceptional. Well, you need to vote. I mean, there's 4 of you, so I'd say you need to vote unless there's somebody else that wants to do it. I mean, I guess we could, unless you don't want it. I mean, I know those are big shoes to fill, buddy, but hey.
I don't want to say it.
Just continue to follow in Max Morgan's footsteps.
That's right.
Who is somebody I respect completely,
Immensely,
and
yes.
and is part of the reason why I'm here. Now that you mention his name, and I think that he's a wonderful example to follow, and I've always said that this is a labor of love for me. I enjoy doing what I do, even though it's very difficult to do. I can't imagine adding another minute of responsibility to my day. My life is quite full right now, but I am committed to doing what I can here. So I'll, if that's the case and I'm voted in, I guess I would do that.
It's not much more time.
Yeah, you say that, but I don't trust you. I've never. That's why I said
I'll tell you this, it's not like additional meetings and whatnot. It is at times additional phone calls and maybe some emails with the good people here at the headquarters, but it's not bad. It's not bad. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, I can tell you that. I didn't think I would, but I've thoroughly enjoyed being the chairman, so.
We've all enjoyed your job.
Do we have, Are we going to vote?
Can I abstain then?
You can abstain if you want. Let's do it. Let's do it this way. Is there anybody? Silva, all right. Pass them down, and we'll see what your. All three guys, we'll see what they think of you. Oh, I'm a voter too. I'm voting for the doctor, on the record. Okay. All right. In modern day political fashion, there's how many of us on the board? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 10 votes in favor of Dr. Woodward. Just-
I added one.
okay.
Calvin is not here, and he asked me to proxy vote for him in favor of Dr. Woodward, should he
There you go.
accept the challenge.
For the record, I voted for him.
I think we have a new chairman.
Okay.
Congratulations, sir.
I do appreciate that trust, and I don't look forward to trying to fill the boots and buckle jeans that you wear.
Yes. That was a low blow.
We had one vote for Calvin Crandall.
Yeah, from him,
Okay.
and that's fine.
He-
Okay,
he
now
did
we
want the
need a
job, so-
now we need a vice chairman.
Okay.
Now the vice chairman actually, there is some work there. The vice chairman usually keeps track of the action log.
Thanks to John, there's a lot of work there now.
Okay, pass them down. Is anybody else interested? Calvin has expressed a little interest. Is anybody else interested in the vice chair?
I'd be interested in that, John.
You would, Byron? Okay, so we have Byron and Calvin as options. Anybody on this side? Donnie? No? Sound pretty stern there. Okay. So it's between Byron and Calvin.
Want to make a speech, Byron?
Make a speech.
You're going to get my comments anyway and stuff like that if I'm the vice chair. So. But I just think that I could help Dr. Woodward do a great job to continue what the board does and stuff like that, and talk to people around the state and work with people around the state like that to make this the best wildlife board in the nation and stuff. So with that, that's all I'd say.
Pass them down.
Yeah.
And he'll, you got to fill them out. And then the director,
Secretary, yeah.
but you are the director, you are the executive secretary, but you are the director still. And while he counts those up, Mike, you got anything you want to say? This is our last meeting.
It's been rude. It's been great. Been a good experience. Enjoyed it. Appreciate working with you all and all the division personnel. It's been a real reward for me to be able to rub shoulders and learn things. It's been helpful to me personally and hopefully professionally.
I've appreciated Mike's up until today, his reasoning, and I appreciate his knowledge and his temperate views on things that have helped me. So I appreciate that, and I would appreciate you continuing in the process at that RAC level as you visit. And I know that that's a hassle to drive all the way to Green River for that RAC, but
I could go be part of the two-person public
I'm sure that
on the fishing.
that input is important, and as we've seen today, the RAC process is important, and if you continue to promote that, I would appreciate that very much down in the southeastern region.
You know, I'll kind of throw in there too with Dr. King. Me and him vote opposite ways on occasion, but I can very much appreciate his academic background and his biological background, and he brings just a very important dynamic to the board. And he's one of the guys you can talk about, you can discuss, you can disagree with, and it's always professional and it's always on a very very good level, and I really enjoyed getting to know him and to work with him. I can't believe the 6 years is gone, but you know, and I just have to say is it's my last meeting, and just want to tell the good people at the Division of Wildlife how much I love and appreciate them and their work and their efforts and their dedication to Utah's wildlife. I mean, and I've said it a lot of times, I'll say it again, we have the best division of wildlife in the country. And that's not to say there aren't some other great ones, but I wouldn't trade ours for 10 of anybody else. And I think we have the most user-friendly. We have the most pro-public input process in the country, and I think our division just bends over backwards to make sure people feel like they're included. And I hope people realize that there's a difference between being disagreed with and not being listened to. And I hope everybody that's come through this process has felt like they've been listened to. I can guarantee you there's a bunch of them that know they haven't been agreed with at one time or another. I've been on that side of the coin myself, standing at these microphones out here, but I never did feel like I wasn't listened to. And I would hope that everybody that has been involved in the RAC process and that would know that we really appreciate their efforts serving on the RACs, serving as the chairman. And I can tell you, serving on this board, it's an easy decision until it's your decision. You all think you know exactly what you do until it comes time to cast your vote. And when you got so many different user groups and so many different people that, I mean, their livelihoods and their 100-year family traditions and everything hang on your vote, you give it a lot of thought. You give it a lot of thought. And it's been an honor. I've enjoyed it, and I'll miss it, but I'll still be involved in one way or another. I want to tell our girls over here, Stacy and too, how much I appreciate their effort and their work behind the scenes. These meetings and all this information doesn't get passed around and that without these girls over here just staying after it. So that and Lindy and all the good folks that work in licensing and go over just tons and tons of numbers just to answer questions that we have that we're getting for the public. I mean, this process has got a lot of people that work just countless hours that don't get up to the microphone very often, that we don't know, you know, all the work they put in, but they just work really hard because they love to hunt, they love to fish, and they love wildlife. And I'll tell you, you can disagree with me if you want, but we have it because we hunt it. We have wildlife because we hunt wildlife. And I'll just kind of leave it at that. So appreciate it, and thanks to everybody.
Thank you, John. On behalf of all of us up here, I'm sure that we will miss you. We'll miss your leadership. We'll miss your wit, your ability to run a meeting, and to make it enjoyable for all of us to be here. Thank you for your passion, and we appreciate your willingness to share it. I think also it probably needs to be noted that John's wife is in the audience, and she has shared hours and hours of you with us, and so probably she likes that.
Well, you know what, I should have recognized my wife. My wife has gone to a few RAC meetings with me, but she's never able to attend a board meeting, and so she's a school teacher. She got out of school last week, and so I invited her and my youngest daughter, Emma, and they both came up and spent the day with us here at the board meeting to see what it's all about. And I know that kind of goes for all of us that are involved in this process. It's very rewarding, but your families do pay a price, and they're without you a lot of nights. You're at meetings and open houses and whatnot, and you burn up all your vacation time to come to board meetings instead of go to Disneyland. So I appreciate my family's willingness to also be part of the process. So
Thank you again, John.
Thank you very much.
Do we have a vice chairman?
Mr. Chairman, there were 2 votes in favor of Calvin Crandall as vice chair and 5 in favor of Byron Bateman.
Byron, congratulations.
Thank you.
You guys will do a great job. I guess that brings to close the formal public portion of our meeting. We do have a time certain board appeal at 1 o'clock, and it will be in here. So, having said that, we're going to go to lunch, and we'll need the board back. Be here 5 to 1, so we can get on with our board appeal, and that'll conclude the day. Okay. All right. All right. So I need all the board to go into this little room right here. Our food is in here, and then we'll go down there. Okay. Okay.